Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello, everyone. We are back with another episode of the MotUS Edge. I'm here today with Casey and Kevin, and you are in for a treat with our guest, Orson Sykes from Twist and Shout. We are going to have a load of fun today. Buckle up, buttercups. Here we go.
Man.
Welcome, Orson. Welcome.
Well, hello. I am super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I've been looking forward to this, Orson. I think I've told you this about 1,000 times, but you are truly one of my favorite people in cheerleading, somebody I look up to, somebody that I respect. But I also feel like that we have a lot of things in common as we've gotten to know each other over the 20 years. You know, we got a lot of kids and a lot of different things in common, and we get to do the same job. So Orson's always there for me whenever I reach out with any questions, or heck, maybe I'm just bummed. I want to call him and vent. So, but literally 20 plus years of getting to know you and becoming friends, and just good times, man.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, Orson, you're probably one of the most respected people in our sport as far as attitude, as far as Christian morals and values, as far as your awesome relationship with your wife. And what do you got? I got 17 boys or something. I know there's a bunch.
Only four.
But I think you're just so well respected as a man and as a business person and as a leader in our industry. So it is awesome to have you today.
Four boys. Your wife is a rock star. I mean, let's just get that out there right now. 4 boys. Your wife is an incredible woman. Rock on. She's amazing. No,
she is a rock star.
I actually don't even know her, but I have no question that she is a rock star for raising 4 boys. So, Orson, we just met recently in the last couple of years, I feel like. But what I have to say about you is I laugh and smile every time I talk to you. So I love that. I love that. You make me laugh and smile every conversation that we have, which is wonderful.
Well, excellent, man. Well, I didn't know I was going to get the shower of praise on the podcast. That's crazy.
You earned it, man. You earned it.
Man, that is crazy. I appreciate, obviously, Casey, Kevin, I've known you guys for years. Funny story. I think I was in Atlanta once, going to Atlanta to speak at a conference, and I had known you, Casey, but I had never really got a chance to talk to you. I said, I'm going to reach out and see if he would go to dinner, And honestly, I was like, he's the big Stingray guy. I'm from Oklahoma. He probably won't. And he was like, sure, sure, come on out. And man, he took me to this super nice, fancy restaurant with some other people. And I was blown away. Honestly, I was blown away. And then Kevin, of course, I met you back in the day when you were working for another.
Because he was selling you Kevin 400 times.
Oh my gosh. Kevin
wouldn't
used
leave
to
you
beat
alone
the
with it.
pavement. Oh my goodness. I would show up on a Monday night and Kevin's there in my office. I'm like, what?
Like, dude, I said I was coming. Stop calling me. I told you I'll be there. Leave me alone.
I would see him constantly like, hey man, what's up? And we've had an amazing relationship over the years. It's been awesome. I remember spending some great time with you out in MotUS, North Carolina. I reached out to him once. I think I was nearby in Rock Hill, South Carolina,
right? And
reached out and got a chance to take a tour of the amazing facility of Charlotte All-Stars.
That's awesome.
Funny, I used to watch Kevin's teams when I first started cheerleading. I didn't come up through teaching UCA camps and NCAA camps. So I was like, I'm an ex-gymnast, and so I was trying to teach myself. I used to get all these videos from NCAA, UCA. And I would always see Charlotte All-Stars on there. Oh, my goodness. And Charlotte All-Stars always had the most amazing stunts. And so it was always an honor to get to know Kevin and get to know both of you. So I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, the next time you're in Tennessee, you'll have to come visit Cole and I, and we can we can take you to dinner here and take you to a UT
awesome.
game.
Oh, that would be really cool.
I don't think all that orange together, it doesn't really look that good. So
There's one day a year, Orson, that I have to be neutral to my friends, Cole and Casey, because it's when Tennessee plays Georgia. So these good old country boys, they don't talk that day. So I just leave them both alone and hope they both win, which is not possible.
Which that's
it's been going my way for a while now. So
yes,
it has. But you guys know who I root for, okay?
I like it. I like
it.
Okay.
So you said that you were a gymnast. So tell us about your gymnastics. How did you end up in cheerleading as a gymnast, as a male gymnast, no less?
Yeah, I mean, I was in college at the University of Oklahoma, and my eligibility was up, and I was just there. At that time, I was like a grad assistant.
You did competitive gymnastics, yeah?
I did competitive gymnastics at OU in college, yes. I
won a national championship,
Tennessee. I sure did in 1991. That's many, many moons ago. But I sure did. I was in the national championship team, and my eligibility was kind of up, and I was coaching actually at OU, kind of a grad assistant role. And the cheer coach approached myself and a few other ex-gymnasts and was like, "Hey, you guys should get on the cheer squad." And honestly, we were just kind of like, "Okay, sure, we're all gonna kind of do it, right?" Hey, it's cute girls. Hey, let's do this, honestly. And they told us, at that time they practiced in the gymnastics facility. So they told us, "Hey, the floor is kind of like a spring floor."
They lied.
Kind of. It just doesn't have springs.
Kind of like, it's kind of not.
It's the same thing. It just doesn't have any springs.
Exactly. And so we got to doing it, and I mean, honestly, I remember thinking after the first couple of practices, I was like, "Man, this is kind of hard." And we eventually prepared and went to NCAA, which, we had a showing on a wrestling mat, which was not like a spring floor. Okay. Not at all. Back then you could do double backs. You could do, double back baskets. We did a triple back basket with a guy. I mean, back then you could do a lot of stuff. And so we threw these double backs on the hard floor. And I mean, I remember being in the warm up at NCAA, which NCAA back then, College Nationals was in Dallas. And I remember thinking, "Hey, I'm going to warm up this one time, because I can't do this. I can't do this a lot." And I remember doing it.
You only have so many double backs in you.
Exactly.
On wrestling mat or foam. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and after the performance, I guess they wanted to get some shots for TV. So they asked us to do the double backs again, which I remember thinking, "Bro, this is rough." But in fact, one of my teammates, he did a full in back out on the hard floor and he bruised his heel.
Wow.
But he was kind of showing off in warm up, and I was kind of like, "That's what you get."
He brought it on himself, right? He brought that on himself.
I'm probably closer to a double back today than I was back in the early 90s. With the use, I think that AI could probably make me do a double back a lot better than
You're probably right. You're probably right.
They wouldn't need to get more footage now, Orson. They just plugged in the computer and make that happen. So
I'm telling you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's pretty spectacular, though, that you could do that. If I'm being honest,
did you go to NCAA 1 year with OU?
I went 1 year. Okay, I went 1 year. That was in 1993. We won NCAA.
Wow!
And you remember back then they used to send the college national champion to Japan.
Yes,
they used to send them to Japan for 2 weeks to perform at what they call the JAL Cup, which is the high school nationals, and to teach some clinics. So we went over there to do that, which was an amazing experience.
Wow.
To be able to go to Tokyo, Japan, do that and teach. And I came back and I needed a job, and I got a job teaching tumbling at a local little tumbling gym. This was in early 90s. This was like in the spring of 93. And wow. I fell in love with, that's when I really fell in love with cheer, because, I was teaching tumbling to kids that were cheerleaders. Coming from gymnastics, it's a little more rigid. Like you don't really have, you have fun, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit more rigid. And so,
especially back then, I feel like, in cheerleading in the 90s, it was like, if you could flip yourself over and land kind of on your feet, yes, you did it.
If your feet were together or not.
Yes, 100%. It's completely different now, but back then, the difference between tumbling and cheer and gymnastics in the 90s was
pretty
very
wild.
Drastic.
Pretty wild. You walk in the door, and the first skill you started on was back handspring. Way different.
I bet they loved you because you were super knowledgeable and actually understood technique, and probably got the kids doing some pretty awesome stuff and having their skills look good, I would assume, right?
Oh, yeah. It was fun. I took kind of the same approach from gymnastics over into kind of teaching cheerleaders how to tumble. In fact, the gym I was at, this is no lie. This was early. So imagine this was very early. And this gym, they didn't have a wedge mat, a barrel, a crash pad. They just had mirrors and carpet bonded foam. That's it.
And you.
And me. And I was like, you might need to order some tools to kind of
couldn't afford it.
Exactly.
I remember those days. I used to teach privates in a park because they had this nice hill that went. It was a perfect.
That was your wedge mat. Huh?
It was like a grass. Yeah, it was a grass cheese mat. Like it was taught a lot of back handsprings in that park, Terrell Mill Park.
Yeah.
Thank God we've come so far.
Wow, I'm telling you.
Well, how did you get into, your own gym? You started teaching classes at a tumbling, or teaching for someone, but then how did you end up with Twist and Shout?
Well, I kind of built up a reputation, and, I kind of came from a family of entrepreneurs. My father's a dentist by trade, but he owned some businesses and real estate, and same way with my grandfather. He was a farmer. And so, a lot of my family were kind of entrepreneurs. So I kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit. And long story short, there was a gym on Crosstown that was for sale. I tried to purchase the gym myself. I'm 24 at the time, don't own nothing, don't have nothing. At that time, the bank would
like
not.
That.
Same.
The bank wouldn't give me a loan. So they basically got tired of waiting on me to buy the gym and sold it to someone else. So I came back to the area I was in, and I started a tumbling program at a gymnastics gym. And immediately we had about 80 kids in that tumbling program. And it was there that I had a parent basically approach me and say, "Hey man, I think you need your own place. I think you have a following. You need your own place." And he said, "Hey, I'll give you the money to do it. If you make it, pay me back. If you don't, I just made a bad investment." And, 24, 25 years old, I really couldn't say no to that. And, that's where Twist and Shout began with that. And
cool.
I eventually did pay him back. So
last year, right?
It was good. Exactly. Last year. We finally got him paid back last year.
Exactly the exact amount that he loaned him. So
exactly. So yeah. But yeah, that's how Twist and Shout began.
I know we know this, but our listeners may not. Our stories are so similar. Like without having a parent back me in the early days, I wouldn't have never been in business. Pretty amazing, though, that we had people that believed in what we were doing, that were willing to give us some money because, like you said, the bank wasn't going to do it for sure because we didn't have anything.
Casey, I remember the bank talking to me, the guy saying, I gave him my projections and where I was and all of that. He goes, "Son, this dog just won't hunt." I said, excuse me? He said, no, son, this dog won't hunt. We can't do this.
So the lady that put me in business or loaned me the money, she made me spend about 6 weeks we spent together working on a business plan to get ready to take to the bank, at least so I thought. And at the end of that, she said, I'm not even going to waste your time driving over. Like, you're not going to take that.
The bank's not going to give you the money.
Yeah. She's like, don't even go. I was kind of like, why do we do this? And then that's when she hit me with, well, I'm going to be a bank, I believe in this. I'll invest in you, and I was scared of that because it was a lot of money. I didn't want to owe somebody that much money, but I didn't want a partner at the time, and she was like, she didn't want a partner either. She was like, understand, I'm not your partner. I'm the bank and you're going to pay me back and I'm going to make some money off this. So, and I did, and she did. And I went back to the well once after that. After I paid her off the first time, she helped me with another venture one time. So pretty cool.
Wow. And it's funny. I mean, you think about it, at that time, it was so early, there really wasn't like a business where a bank could say, oh, okay, yeah, I know one of those.
Proof of concept. Well. Yeah.
Sure. Let's give him the money. These are going to be great. They didn't know that. You know what I mean? And honestly, think about it, Casey. I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't realize that at that time, that was kind of the ground floor of the business, honestly. I thought people all over the country were doing these, honestly.
I was the same. I was 23 and same story. I did my own business plan. The bank laughed in my face. I went to some local business people trying to get them to invest, and again, there was no proof of concept. They couldn't even conceptualize, the best thing to do is just kind of, it's like a gymnastics center sort of is kind of what I'm trying to do, and that was the best way to try to get people to kind of understand. And then Premier came along. And that's how I was able to open my gym. Well, otherwise I wouldn't have been
so many barriers back then. Heck, I remember one time and it was the second location, but it was still really early in the business. And we were going to this small town that was 30 minutes north of where the Marietta gym is now, up in Cartersville, Georgia. And everything was ready. I mean, we were ready to open the doors, but there was no cheerleading business listed on the zoning, and they would not let me slide under any, like literally I had to put the article in the paper and go before the city council and all that just to back us up 6 weeks to be able to open, just because, like you said, there was people didn't know of any kind of business like that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I was actually just talking to a gym owner the other day about zoning for her business and just the zoning not being right and how to get it right and what to do and all the things. Like, that's the stuff you learn along the way. But, I remember one time being this close to signing a lease and learning, like, the day before we inked the paper that
you can't do business there.
You can't. Yeah, this isn't zoned for assembly, so you can't have your business here. Wait, what? Skirt? Like, why didn't you tell me that 6 months ago? We've done all this.
You can have some farm animals there or something, but you can't teach cheerleading here.
Right. I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, you don't just know that's a thing until you know.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've known now for a while, obviously, but at the time, I had no idea. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Wow.
So, what do you think, Orson? One of your biggest mistakes as a gym owner? What do you think one of your biggest mistakes has been?
Other than your friendship with Casey.
Wow. Biggest mistakes? I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. I mean, I think, you've been in business 29 years, you're going to make some mistakes. I think early on, really understanding that, you say you have to hire good people, and that should be like, everybody knows that. But to actually do that, because I think probably one of the biggest mistakes I probably made is hiring people out of desperation. Sometimes early on, you're like, man, I just need a body. Like, I got to have somebody. And you hire out of desperation. That always ends up bad,
I agree.
And it's hard. I mean, even to this day, I have to remind myself of that, yeah, you may be desperate, but that person is not good. That's only going to cause you more problems, more issues,
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the mistakes, honestly.
That's a good one. I feel like to share for people. That's a great. I agree. 100%.
That's a really good one. And especially early in the days, there was no training, so you had to train them. And
exactly.
And the thing is, we were training people, and I'm not sure we had been trained. We had,
yes,
like literally making it up as you go. And I mean, gosh, I hate to admit this, but I remember in the early days of, like I described that gym in Cartersville, but we built a business by going and working with a school up there. And we grew so many kids so fast that literally I was recruiting. Most of them were cheerleaders, but I was recruiting friends. I remember we at Life University, the chiropractic college, and I'd go to their cheer team. Like, can anybody come with me up here on Friday to teach tumbling? And I'd get some big, strong guys to go with me. And literally on the 30-minute drive up, I would be explaining to them what we were going to do and how to run a class, and like, run your right beside me. Just do exactly what I'm doing. Because we're going up there to teach these kids, and literally they had zero. They'd never taught a kid, never taught a back handspring. Couldn't do a back handspring.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I can remember in the early days, I had this guy show up at our gym. This is 30 years ago, and he had a motorcycle and tattoos and long hair. And he came in to the gym applying for a job. And we're like, "Oh, are you a former gymnast or, cheerleader?" He's like, "Nope." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's what we do here. We do gymnastics and cheerleading." And he said, "Okay, yeah." I said, I can do that." And I'm like, "Okay, well, do you have a resume or a background?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, what makes you want to come teach at gymnastics and cheerleading?" And he was like, "Oh, I love kids and they love me." And he's like, I'm a kid guy. I was like, "Okay." And so we started him on a couple classes, and this guy turned out to be a kid magnet. And so he worked for us like 4 years, and we increased our class ratios from 8-1 to 10-1 with this guy. I mean, he was so amazing.
That's excellent.
And he loved kids, and he is now a pediatrician. So we were the stopover after grad school before he went back to become a doctor. And so, but he worked for us, and he only worked Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. And every weekend he was hiking on the Appalachian Trail or taking a bike ride up the coast, or, the guy was an outdoorsman, and he just supplemented his life for a few years in teaching, but had no gymnastics or cheerleading experience. And we learned from that going, we need to find people that love kids. I can teach them gymnastics and cheerleading. I can't teach people how to love kids. So that is hugely important. So
that's a great story, Kevin. And that's what makes this business so challenging, because like I said, you took a chance on somebody and it turned out great. And then to Orson's point, then there's other times you take a chance on somebody and it doesn't turn out so great. And so, and I think we've all experienced that.
And that's what makes it difficult, because imagine that person didn't have any cheerleading or gymnastics experience, loved kids, and worked out great. You get some people with cheerleading and gymnastics experience that don't really like kids, and they don't know how to teach, and they don't work out great at all.
Or they want to do a world team only. They don't want to do level 1 or teach beginning tumbling or work a birthday party, heaven forbid, or I need you to teach a preschool class, and no, we're not doing that.
Those are the coaches that really I don't want to take anything away from the world's coaches, because they're phenomenal and they have a skill set that they need to have. But really, in my opinion, your level 1 coaches, your level 2 coaches, all of those lower level people, not lower level people, but lower level coaches of those teams, they are the important bread and butter of your business. They are the ones that are instilling the passion for the sport and training the beginning, the foundation, for that kid, for the future of your business and the levels and for their future as well. So I feel like they're so important.
Well,
so important.
It takes every single piece, it takes every single piece in the gym, and from the people working at the front desk to the people teaching the youngest kids in the gym. But I think that our coaches are much like our athletes. They look as that their hard work and their dedication, the expectation is that I'm going to move up the levels. whether I'm good at that level or not. That's the expectation, right. You know, and it makes sense because, like I said, the athletes have it at all.
Very true.
Everybody's got a ceiling, you know, or they're really good at something. And that was a common mistake we made with a lot of our coaches. They would do really well, like just hone in on a level, you know, and man, you're doing so great at level 2 that we're going to move you up to level 3. You did so great with the younger kids that we're going to move you up to the older kids. And then we would find that, you know, some coaches didn't work as well with the older kids, and they had massive success at the, you know, and honestly, we lost some good coaches over a period of time because of that, because we moved them up because they earned it. And that's what we thought a promotion should be. And that's also what they thought a promotion should be. But then they would ultimately land at a level that they weren't as successful at as another level. So, you know, that we've tried to change that culture within our gym to Stacy's point of letting our coaches really understand these kids aren't ever going to make it to a world's team without those beginning coaches setting a strong foundation. Like it just won't happen.
Yeah.
I think you brought up a good point too, Casey, like kind of having the right people. I mean, we all know this, but it's easier said than done. Just having the right people on the bus, but then in the right seats as well, you know? So you might have really good coaches, but you have them either working with a partner that is not good for them to be working with. And so that creates a bad experience for that team, or you have them at the wrong level or the wrong age, or, you know, whatever. It's like kind of shuffling your people around and figuring out like, where do they do best? Where are they most successful? You know, who are they most successful working with? Just because two people didn't work well together doesn't mean that they won't work well together with other people.
So we used to not, and I think Orson and I have had this conversation, but I feel like we're both relationship people. But, you know, one time, all these different over the years, you know, hey, you coach at Stingrays. You're going to coach where we tell you to coach, you know, and especially new people coming in. But what you said, that like 2 or 3 coaches on a team, that's an entire year, typically 3 days a week, you know, 6 to 10 hours a week. And like, hey, I want you to spend 10 hours a week with this person for an entire year. I know y'all hate each other, but y'all work it out. Like, that's not going to work, you know? Like, it is so important. I think Orson and I have had some of those conversations about the importance of the relationship and just the culture within your gym.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And, you know, I think one of the things is making a lower level coach and coaches feel just as special as the world's coach. Because if we're being honest from a business perspective, that lower level coach is key and as important, if not more important.
Yeah.
You know, my class coaches are more, if not more important, and making them feel like it is special to be over here teaching classes. Like you have the opportunity. If you run them off at 5, the first,
coming back.
Yes, and I think that's something that we strive to do every day is figuring out ways to. Because I mean, Casey just mentioned a lot of times. Hey, I want to get over to the All-Star side. I want to get over to the All-Star side. And it's like, no, I really wish you would just hone in on this. All-Star side is very stressful. You're going to be here more. You're going to have more parents to deal with. You're going to do. Why don't you stay over here on the class side where it can still be fun for you? And we try to make it fun also on the All-Star side. But, you know, just valuing them and making sure that class coach or the lower level coach knows that they are very important to your program is essential.
Which, Casey, you brought up, you know, if they leave you at 5, that's not doing you any good. And do you know that right now that is the lowest retention rate in cheerleading is 5-year-olds?
So that's something we study in our gym is really looking.
We need to fix that quickly.
Yeah. Looking at the younger ages and not 5-year-olds per se, but looking at our youth and below. And we have to maintain those numbers because we know that like, you know, we feel like that's really one of our most important athletes, one of our most important customers is that youth age and below. And we need those numbers to be high because, you know, ultimately as kids get into high school and they have choices where their parents aren't driving them everywhere, their friends can take them somewhere. They got a boyfriend, they've got things outside of the gym. they don't want to be in the gym as much.
Yes.
So there's a natural cutoff at 13 to 14 years old, and really when they hit 15. And we can do things to help that as well. But knowing that that's going to happen, it's imperative that your younger athletes are happy and that you're engaged with them and that you're creating an environment that they want to be in so that you can keep those numbers high, you know? And I think that's another, we talk about this all the time, Orson, because I feel like, especially me, I know way more what not to do than I know what to do. But, you know, if you only focus on the older kids and the higher levels, and I've seen gyms make that mistake, we've made that mistake. Like, I'm going to focus on, I need this girl here. Well, she's a senior in high school and she's only got 6 more months anyway. Whereas I'm not going to focus on this 7-year-old who could potentially be here for another 11 years. So.
All right, Orson, really quick, give us your best advice to a gym owner.
Oh, well,
putting you on the spot.
I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Well, I think my best advice to a gym owner would be probably a few things. One, you know, Casey did just mention it as far as one, I would say, you know, making sure you're building a business, not just a recreational thing that you're just kind of doing on the side. And building a business means people pay for their product. They pay for the service.
Right.
I see, you know, I think it's very important that you establish that, like, whether you're on a rec kid or you're on an all-star squad, here are the services. You know, one of the things that we do, just like you all do, before we start an all-star year, we have a parent meeting, we have a tryout informational meeting. And one of the biggest things is to go through the commitment from just a level of what they're going to have to do, how many practices, competitions, those things, but also to go over the financial commitment that that you're making, because I want you to understand the financial commitment that your family is getting into, because we're going to hold you to that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's so important. I mean, yes, do we help kids from time to time? Absolutely. But we can't help everybody. At the end of the day, you know, we have employees, we have coaches that they do not volunteer to coach at Twist and Shout. I mean, it is not a volunteer coach. You know, the mortgage is not volunteer. The lights, no, they're not interns. I mean, and so I think that's important, you know, to also establish a system of collections. And, you know, it's hard. Sometimes you have to make some hard decisions. And the longer you've been in it, you understand that, you know, if I don't collect this, it's not going to get paid. Like, people are just not going to volunteer to pay. Some people are. There are systems you can put in where that's just automatic. But as you know, some people try to forego a lot of those systems, and you have to strongly encourage people to do that, or you have to let them know that you can't do that here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see a lot of businesses, cheer businesses, they don't do that. And eventually somebody gets left holding a bag, and it's typically the gym owner.
Yeah.
And it's sad because they have a passion for kids, and that's awesome.
And then they're ultimately out of business, and they can't.
And they're ultimately out of, and they can't help kids.
Yeah.
And yes, and you know, somebody gave me a piece of advice a long time ago. The person that really got me in business is, you know, we kind of establish people that's what they do. So I don't really talk to people about money at the gym. If you're in my office and we're talking about money, you are way past, like, you are about to go out the door. You know what I'm saying? Like,
my original office manager,
Same.
like, she came to me and she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna handle all the account. Like, I don't want you talking to anybody about money," because that's I would buy into any sob story. She was like, these moms come in there and they bat their eyes at you, and next thing you know, you're giving them free cheerleading. And she was like, so I'm gonna handle that from here on out. And which was really a blessing to me, because that's the thing. She could do it, and she could do it with compassion, and she could be fair. Because same thing, Orson, we try to help people out too. There are people that start and they have the means, and these are the people I think that we owe or we need to try to help where we can. They have the means and they made a good decision and they signed up for it. And then lo and behold, something happens, whether it's a health issue or a house fire or a family member loses a job for a short time. That's who I want to help. But what I learned a long time ago, if the 10-year-old comes in and you got to help her from day one, you just signed up for helping for the next 8 years. They are going to take the help until it's time to graduate. Yes. So,
right.
Yes.
So, I'm not saying that's not wrong, but you got to know what you're, got to know what you're signing up for. You got to know
what you're getting into.
Yeah,
for sure.
And
yes.
If anybody listening wants to learn more about Orson's story or get any more awesome tips from him, you can read about it in the Pioneers of All-Star Cheer because he is in the amazing book that just came out a couple days ago, September 30th. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yes.
We just celebrated that. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, before we move into the next section and the next topic with Mr. Orson, I am going to tell everybody about CheerFest. So if you are looking for the ultimate cheer camp experience, CheerFest is the premier summer camp for ages 7 to 17. Imagine 6 days of nonstop cheer, dance, tumbling, conditioning, and fun, led by top-notch trainers from around the country. And the best part, you'll leave with some new skills, some new friends, and some memories that last a lifetime. So spots fill fast, so make sure you sign up, cheerfest.com. That is CheerFest.com. And we look forward to seeing you guys at CheerFest this summer. It is such a great experience on a beautiful, beautiful campus on Lake Francis in Tennessee. So I am there every year. I love it. I didn't get to go to camp as a kid, so now I go as an adult. So.
It is beautiful. It is amazing.
It really is great.
Pretty awesome.
It really is. So, hey, I think it's time for my favorite time, or mine and Kevin's favorite time, our dad joke time, and I'm up for this.
Can't wait
for this dad joke. So,
oh wow.
See if anybody can get this one.
Okay.
What kind of music do the planets listen to? What kind of music do the planets listen to?
I
Far out
don't
music.
Far out music. I like that.
Neptunes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Neptunes.
Okay. Kevin's smiling. Kevin, you liked that one, didn't you?
I did like that one, yeah.
Hey, be sure to send us your favorite dad jokes. We can share them on the show, and we're happy to give you a shout out. We have had a lot of people send those our way, so you can email them to Stacy at joinmodus.com, STACY at joinmodus.com.
Awesome.
Orson, you got a dad joke off the cuff?
Unscripted.
Oh, unscripted. I can't say I do, Stacy. I mean,
oh, that's too funny.
I can't say I do, but I'm excited to hear Kevin's though.
Oh, I don't have one. Am I supposed to have one?
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. My bad.
We don't allow. Kevin isn't allowed to go off script, Orson. So you can. But Stacy doesn't allow that for Kevin or myself. So,
Orson, do you see what I have to put up with?
I see. You got a lot to deal with.
Okay, I do have a little one.
one.
Okay.
Did you know that 6 out of 5 Americans are bad at math?
I did not know that.
I would say that you can't have 6 out of 5 Americans because I'm a mathematician. You can't sneak that by me.
There you go.
That's
I'm a mathematician myself.
Oh, dear goodness. Okay. Great. So, Orson, let's talk about some skill progressions. I feel like now is a good time of year that coaches are either pushing athletes to try to get ready or pulling back, to try to get ready either way. And I think that this is something that, I feel like you have a pretty good knack for. So I want to know all the things. Like, what is your thought on when to push wow, when to push and when to pull back. How do you manage, the athlete development and the safety of the kids in the gym?
Well, I mean, really it's based a lot on practice and how comfortable they are with the skill. And not just comfortable with the skill, but if they can do the skill in the context of doing skills before and after that skill. So in the context of more of a full out routine, especially in this day and age of execution. It seems like back in the day, hey,
just chuck it.
If you had it and you threw it and if you chuck it, I mean, we're going to get credit. You know what I mean?
You don't get hurt and you're still alive, then you're good to go.
Exactly. But in this day and age, which I think is good because it makes for better safety for the athlete. You can't just do the skill. You have to be able to execute the skill at a high level. And so I think, you do get kids and sometimes, it's a stair stepper. Sometimes, just because a kid can throw, let's say, a double on the floor, that doesn't necessarily mean it's ready to put in a routine,
Right. It's a different skill when you put other skill. You mentioned it, but like if I got to build a stunt and then run over here and throw a basket toss and then run to the corner and throw that double full, that is way different than, hey, everybody line up and clap for me while I get in the corner and catch my breath.
Right.
Exactly. And I think, personally, I think probably the older I've gotten as a coach, I'm probably less likely to put skills in. Like I'm probably a little bit overprotective, like, no, it's not quite ready yet. Let's wait, I'm always encouraging our coaches to, let's make sure kids have skills to add into the routine just from a safety perspective, Well,
they're kids. We need to put them first. And I think you got a lot of kids. I got a lot of kids. Kevin and Stacy got kids. So, and we love kids, so that's the thing.
We have a few kids. The two of you have like a football
lot
team.
of kids.
No. So, but that is a huge part of his athlete safety. And then from, that's the thing where sometimes the waters can get muddied. And I don't think anybody's ever trying to intentionally get someone hurt, but that's something that we explain to our coaches. Like if this kid isn't able to be on the mat all season or at the end of the season, because we pushed them too hard and they got injured and had a season-ending injury or just took them out for 6 to 8 weeks, that's not good for anybody. It's not good for them. That's not good for the team. That's not good. And like you said, it is all about execution these days. So these kids don't grow on trees. It is not like, we've been blessed to have a big gym and a lot of kids, but once again, if a high-level athlete is injured, it's not like we've got them stacked up in the back. Like that just doesn't happen. So it's important to A, it's the right thing to do, but B, it's important to the team to.
Well, and I'll add to that too. I think kids having fun come with kids being confident with the skills that they're doing and performing and competing. And the more fun they have, the more they're willing to pay and the longer they're going to cheer. And so ultimately, skills that they can do well, that they enjoy, that is not adding to their anxiety, their stress level, make it more fun for the kids. And making it more fun is a good thing for us as gym owners. It's more fun for the parents, for their kids to enjoy, and it's more fun for the kid ultimately. And that's what we all want. So,
yeah. And sometimes, I think we have to explain that to parents, because in this age of, I want my kid to level up, and you're trying skills on the mat that you're really not ready for, you're really going to endanger your athlete.
That's only in Oklahoma. We don't have that problem in the Southeast.
Man, it's going to make for not as fun of an experience when you're constantly stressing about a skill that you have to perform that you may not be completely confident in at whatever level it is. And what's going to, and then you could possibly get hurt doing that skill. That's not a good situation. And I think, sometimes we have to explain to parents that this is the level that your child should be on. These are the skills that they're displaying at the elite level, that they show that they can execute at a high level.
Orson, I'm glad you said that about Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm glad you said that about the parents, because that's something we often forget. We think it's the coaches that are always pushing them. But goodness gracious, there are times where literally we have athletes that we're backing down of like, hey, I don't want you to twist this month. I want you to just do your layout, because they're like, my knee hurts a little bit, my ankle hurts a little bit. And we know it's a long season. So you're only doing a layout for this month. And then their parents are taking them to another gym, taking them to the gym down the road where they'll, and not explaining anything about an injury. I see that a lot. And then I see a lot of parents that, and once again, their intentions are good, but I've had this conversation a couple of times with a mom who, like, she may be a nurse, in the pediatric office, and she's giving shots and she does have medical knowledge, but she's not an orthopedist, and it's like, oh, they're fine. They're fine until they're not, and their ACL's gone, and then they're out for a year, So,
right.
Yes.
So it's important that it's not just coaches, but having, like you said, having that direct conversation with the parents and trying to help them understand. Another issue we have is kids coming back from injuries, because it's like they sit out for 6 weeks. They have done nothing because their doctor said to do nothing. And then parent walks back in day one. Hey, she was released today. She's ready to go back in her spot, and NCAA's in 3 days.
Right.
Right. Yeah. How do you guys manage that inside of the gyms? Like, do you just talk to each parent as a situation comes up? Do you guys have any type of, blanket? Like, Orson, you talked about your parent meeting. Like, is there any discussion kind of on what your gym's philosophy is and how that works inside of your facility with the parents as a group? I'm just curious what you guys do.
I mean, we go over that in our first tryout meeting, that, we're trying to put together a good team, and a good team has to stunt at a high level and tumble at a high level. And so the skills that your son or daughter are going to show us, we're going to expect those to be at a high level to be placed on this particular team. So if you barely have a layout, you're likely not going to be on the level 14 or a level 5 team at Twist and Shout. We need for them to be able to show those skills at a high level in a competition or in a routine type setting in order to be placed on the team at that level. So, and then I think it's just a constant, it's a constant discussion. It's a constant reminder. We have communication months pretty much every other month. That's basically where the coaches have parent meetings with the parents, and they go over, this is where we are, this is what we're working on, this is what we're kind of going to be doing over the next month, and this is kind of where we see the team right now. And so it kind of, a lot of times it's about communication, really. But you're always going to have parents that feel like, hey, my child should be at a higher level. Hey, my child should be throwing this skill. That's the fleas come with the dog to some degree. You know what I mean? You're always gonna have to educate and deal with that to some degree.
I hear often, she just needs an opportunity. If y'all just give her an opportunity. And that's the thing that's changed. And Orson, speak to this, because I know you do a lot of choreography. I know you work with a lot of programs, and then you're also a master in your own program. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we would put a kid on a team to develop those skills. Hey, we're going to put her on, it wasn't level 3, but we're going to put her on the intermediate team because she's really close to a tuck. And if we do this, we know she's going to get her tuck. And talk about how different that is today. Like, because that was a thing a while ago, and it's no longer a thing today.
Right.
Well, not and be competitive. I mean, you can do that,
right.
But you likely are not going to be competitive. I mean, and you're right. I mean, at this day and juncture, to be competitive, your kids, your teams, these teams are competing at a high level in all aspects of cheerleading. So tumbling and stunting. And so you can't just levels. Do it. At all.
Yeah.
Levels.
Like you're not walking in the door building a level 1 team and winning major competitions, which we talk about that all the time.
Yes. Over the last 15, 20 years, I mean, I'm sure you guys, y'all have been, that's where the industry has changed a lot.
Yeah.
Because now you have lower level teams that compete at a very high level at that level. at every level.
Absolutely.
And back in the day, you might have 5 great programs that do that. But now you have 15, 20 great programs. And you have programs, that's all they focus on. They may focus just on level 2s and 3s.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We talk about that all the time. Oftentimes, you don't know. Like, there are certain gyms where there may be a level 1 team in their gym where that's the top team. That's the one where they're loading everything up and going after it. The thing that kind of, I don't know, makes me sad in my old man mind and my generation, that's the thing of, like, back in the day, a 5-year-old could walk into the gym. We could put them on our level 1 team. Once again, it wasn't level 1 then, but we could do that and we could develop that athlete. That can't happen today. Now we've had to create, and luckily we've created other things, but it used to amaze, like, just a few years ago, I was still so offset and output by coaches are like, well, this kid isn't good enough to be on great, our tiny level 1 team. Like, what do you mean? They're 4. Right. When did they have time to be good enough? But that's just the thing of, we realized, and I've seen it, and that was some of where I would put, now we got to put them here. We got to go there. And then we would go, get on an airplane with the 4-year-old and fly out to Texas to compete against other 4-year-olds and get just annihilated because the coaches are right. Yeah, they weren't good enough to be on that level. So we had to kind of rethink what we were doing, And like I said, that's a little bit of challenge from my generation, but it's where the sport is.
Yeah. I mean,
well, I do think it's one of the things where there is so much variety now with fundamentals and half year and prep and novice and elite. There is a building step to get to that point, which is awesome. And, so I love the variety. So speaking of variety, the Prime Alliance has a variety. Let me tell you about it. This season, you can journey at the end of the year with a finale. The Prime Alliance brings together top event producers like Cheer Expo with CX Brands, All Out Brands, Choice Events, American Spirit Championship, World Cheer Company, USCA, All Day Cheerleading, and Liberty Spirit to create something big. Earn your bid to the Prime All-Star Finale in Fort Lauderdale. It's May 9th and 10th in 2026. Sun, sand, and a season-ending celebration like no other. Plus, all MotUS members can score 15% off at all Prime events throughout the entire season. Check it out at theprimealliance.com. Experience something new. Celebrate your season at the beaches of Fort Lauderdale.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I'll be there.
Yes,
Fort Lauderdale,
good.
That new facility in Fort Lauderdale is really amazing. So,
the Broward County Convention Center, it really is. I went there many years ago with an event before they tripled the size of it, and it's beautiful. It's pristine.
Brand new hotels connected to it, right there on the water. Pretty awesome.
Yep, good stuff.
Fort Lauderdale is an amazing city too. It's an awesome city.
Yeah, we're excited. Try something new, right? All right. Well, it is time for our quote. So we're going to do an inspirational quote from Simon Sinek. So what are your thoughts on our quote today, Orson? The quote is, "The goal is not to be perfect by the end. The goal is to be better today."
I love it. That's awesome. So it sounds like that's about embracing the process, and I think that's a good thing. Especially even in business. I was going to say, I think one thing as a gym owner you have to do is constantly evaluate your business. And that means you speak with other gym owners, but also you learn your own market. You learn your market. You mentioned, Casey had mentioned talking about the putting the kids at 5 years old on tinies and battling coaches. There was a time where we would take a 5-year-old and we would put them on a mini 1 team or a tiny team, and we would drag them all over the country, and that kid would not come back. And we finally realized that in our area, 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they're not into cheerleading like that, And so we started taking that same kid and putting them in our novice program for a couple of years. Or making our mini level 1 team, they don't travel really. They just maybe go regionally. You know what I'm saying? And that took some time. That took years of just understanding our community, understanding our area. Because we used to look and go, man, we have some great, junior and senior age teams and kids, but at the lower level, we're getting killed, not by how we're performing, but just the numbers. Like, why does our mini team only have 8 kids? We have a huge program. Why does our tiny team only have 7 kids? And we started understanding that, man, we're trying to do too much with those athletes. In this area, they just don't want to do that much, So there's a perception in our area, hey, you can only come to go to Twist and Shout when you're serious about cheer, And we want Twist and Shout to be for everybody, not just for the ultra, competitive person. So we had to really study and learn and evaluate our program in doing that. And so now, we just try to we try to constantly evaluate our program to see what's working, what's not working, what we're doing great in and what we're not doing so great in. And I think in business, that's something that you have to consistently do.
I think that is an excellent point.
I think one thing about the quote is striving for perfection that's just tough. Only tough. Jesus was perfect, but I can be better day in and day out. And I can try to be better as a man and as a dad and as a husband and as a gym owner and a coach. I can do that on a daily basis. And the anxiety of trying to be perfect is just, it's a bit much for me. So, but I can still try to be better.
I was at a soccer tournament this weekend with my son, and I was asking him, how he was enjoying his team, and it's a lot harder team and just a lot harder competition. And I was asking him, are you having fun? Do you feel like you're getting better? And he, in his teenage wisdom, he said, it was actually pretty smart though. He was like, Mom, he's like, I feel like I will feel like I've gotten much better when the season is over. He said, right now it's, maybe I get 1% better every practice, every game. And so I don't see it. And I was like, well, you know what, bud, that's a really great way to look at it, because all those 1% every day of every week, are going to add up to a lot of percent. And he was like, yeah, Mom, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the season, I'll have that figured out, or I'll see it then, but I don't see it now because it's just like 1%, bro.
But that's actually pretty intuitive, and that makes me think, I don't know, I live my life off these cliches, but I think, one that this quote reminded me of is, if I've got 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, then I'm pooping on the present. So, but that's the thing.
He is so South Georgia. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it didn't say pooping, really. So, but that's the thing, and being in today and just understanding that those are the things. I don't often remember this, but God's got me right where I'm supposed to be today. And that's the thing of understanding that it's not me. And I'm just here and I am exactly right where I'm supposed to be. So, just reminding myself of that. And to your son's point, then that's where the faith piece comes in, of understanding that I'm here today because in 6 months or in a year, I've got faith that today's work, those dividends are coming. I'm not getting paid today for today's work. Today's work is going to make sure I get paid in the future. So,
yeah.
So true.
That's awesome.
So excellent.
Okay, Orson, we have one last final thing that we do, and that is to ask our guest to offer a question to our listeners. So what question would you like to ask our listeners? Then we will post that question on our social media, and our listeners can go to @joinMotUS and find the question and answer the question in the comments. Or if they're watching our episode on YouTube, they can comment right there. So what question would you like to ask?
Oh, that's good. What question would I like to ask?
I mean, it could be anything.
Okay. I would like to ask your listeners, what do they see is the future of the All-Star Cheer business?
Oh,
what is the future of the All-Star Cheer business?
All right.
I love it.
I love it too. It's something I talk
That's
about.
a great question.
That
is a great question.
I'll call you, Orson. We can talk about it together.
Right?
I love it. Yes.
That is an excellent question. So if you want to answer that question, you can go to our social media at Join MotUS and find the post with the question. Should be pretty easy because it should be the first one that you see. And comment and answer the question, or you can comment on YouTube at the MotUS Edge. If you're watching us on YouTube and answer Orson's questions, he will be following along to see what answers come from those questions. That's awesome. So thank you so much for being on today, Orson. That was wonderful. It was a pleasure to have you and hear all of your wisdom. We appreciate you being here.
Good
Always
stuff.
great.
Thank you.
Oh, it was fun. It was, for sure. It was awesome. We definitely got to do it again, for sure.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. If you are listening today, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the MotUS Edge. Check out our shorts, like and comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, or X at Join MotUS. Follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a comment and tell all of your friends. And hey, if you're a gym owner, join the movement and sign up for MotUS today. Thank you all so much for listening, and we are excited for you to have the MotUS Edge. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Have a great day, everybody.
There you guys.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.